And remember, be fit and have fun. Hey, YouTube, what's going on? It's Slava P back with another prison story to tell you guys about. If you like what I'm doing here, don't forget to like and subscribe to the page. I really appreciate it when you do. Today I'm going to be talking about how to stay sexy in jail. Your health is the most important thing to you, and it's something that you have to take care of all the time. In Canadian prisons, everything is more or less taken care of for you. You get your groceries, you get your hygiene items, you get clothing that you can wear if you don't get any sent in, which is what makes health the most important part of your routine. Don't forget that you're going to be getting out of jail one day, and you need to look the part and make sure that you leave a better person than you came in. I'm not only talking about gaining like 20 pounds of muscle, although that is definitely possible to do when there's nothing to do but work out. I'm more so talking about all the other things we might take for granted out on the outside that we don't have access to when we're in a penitentiary, regardless of whether or not it's a maximum, medium, or minimum security system. Me, myself, I spent 28 months in a federal facility for a nonviolent drug crime. You could read all about it in my book, Bad Trips. But it's important to note that I came into jail weighing 260 pounds and I left weighing about 210 pounds, which is more or less what I weigh now. How did I do that? Well, I worked out, I went vegan, and I just generally took better care of my body, which is all stuff that's very possible to do in jail. Let me tell you how. Number one way that you're going to be getting your activity in jail is just walking around. You can walk around the yard, you can walk around the range. Some guys in assessment would just walk up and down the same hallway for hours on end, and while it can be a little bit annoying, you can understand that they're doing it to make sure that they're healthy and still keeping those demons at bay. It's very easy to fall into a sedentary life, especially when you get the TV in your room, so you have to block off time in your day to go walk outside. The good news is that there's also sports that take place, whether formally or informally. When I was in the medium at Joyceville, they gave us a soccer ball or a football when we went out to yard, and it was on us to kind of figure out the game for ourselves. Fun fact, one time they didn't give us anything, and we had to take one of those plastic plates out with us and use it for Frisbee. But when you get into your minimum security situations, there will be entire representatives who look after making sure that, the sports schedule runs on time. If I remember right, it was soccer on Mondays, hockey on Tuesdays, basketball Wednesdays, hockey Thursdays, basketball Fridays again, with a little bit of badminton sprinkled in. During the summer, guys will play soccer on the fields or baseball in the baseball diamond. And in the winter, guys will actually flood the tennis courts in order to make a ice hockey rink. I was there during COVID, so I didn't get to see the ice hockey rink, but it is available, and there's skates that you are able to borrow and kind of skate around and play hockey with. If you have a bad beef, don't play sports, because people do not want to play with someone who's a child molester or something like that. But at the same time, if the numbers are low and they need people to play, people will look past your charges if you've got like a nice handle or something like that. If your hand-eye coordination is good, a lot of stuff will be forgiven. But the real bread and butter of the gym is what's known as the weight pit. So if you're in medium security, the weights are actually bolted onto the machines, which means you can't adjust them, which means that you better get pretty strong pretty quick. There's also no dumbbells, so it's all either Smith machines or the machines where the plates are actually welded on. In minimum security, though, the weight pit is a free-for-all, which means you have every sort of weight from 10 pound to 85 pound. You have your kettlebells, you have battle ropes if that's what you want to do, you have the weighted balls if you want to do it that way. A lot of the money that the inmate committee will get from inmates, whatever is not spent on cable packages at least, will go towards getting the top of the line workout stuff. There's even treadmills and stuff like that if that's what you're into, although a lot of people do just end up walking around the tracks or running around the track to get their cardio. There's even like elliptical machines, but from my experience, those always have like a huge lineup around them, so you need to run to the gym when they call yard if you want to be using the elliptical machine. Now, the guys you'll meet in jail are absolutely massive. Okay, there's one guy I worked out with, we called him the Fridge. He was like 6'7", 270 pounds. And then he would work out with a guy we called the mini fridge, who was like 5'11", but still 270 pounds. These guys are serious and they work out like their life depended on it. And to be honest, steroids are one of those things that you could take in jail without it showing up on your urinalysis test. So some guys who were bringing stuff in made sure that steroids were part of the order that was getting shipped in. They're just huge guys, like the biggest guys you've ever seen in your life. A neck the size of like a tire. So that goes to say about keeping your body healthy and at least, sculpted and strong. But what about all the other stuff? The number one most important thing to remember in jail is that there is no dentist. Okay, there is a dentist, but it's like a 16-week wait to see them, and they're all student dentists, so your teeth are going to hurt on the other side of that clinic. Your best bet is to just wait until you get out and go to the dentist. Which is pretty hard because I knew one guy who got into a fight early on in his prison stint, and his whole front and bottom row of teeth were knocked out. He could not go to the dentist in jail to get those fixed, but one of the first things he did upon getting out was getting a whole new set of veneers put in. But yeah, it's important that you take care of your teeth, and I would advise anybody to order a bunch of floss if possible. From my understanding, they tried to ban floss at one point because someone tried to hang themselves with it, but you should be able to get it right now. It's also important to note that of the stuff that you can get sent in your pen pack, it will say that you're allowed to get a toothbrush sent in, but you're also allowed to get an electric toothbrush sent in. And I would definitely advise you to get an electric toothbrush sent in to your personal belongings, because that is going to help your oral health in a way that's going to keep you from having to see the dentist every 6 months like you do on road. So now we've got body and we've got teeth. Let's talk about skin. Skincare in there, also fairly easy to keep control of. You are constantly out in the sun in the summer, especially if you're playing those games. Make sure you use an SPF. I was using a St. Ives that was just available on Canteen to put a layer of lotion on before I went outside. And then in the shower, there's a St. Ives apricot facial scrub that you can put together. That was like a fairly new addition to the Canteen item, but it's important to exfoliate. So make sure you use that when you're in the shower. If they don't have that on Canteen, what you want to do is buy some sugar from the grocery store, put it in with your lotion, mix it up so it's got all that coarse sugar in there, and then rub your skin down with that just to make sure you remove any dead skin. And you got to look as good as possible, even if it's just for other guys. There are people in jail who specialize in their barber skills. Obviously, I never needed their help, but I know a lot of guys would book appointments, and the barber would charge something as simple as like a $4 thing of toothpaste in exchange. So, economies do spring up even when everything is taken care of for you inside the facility, and a barber is definitely one of those special needs that gets addressed. Actually, when I was in minimum, they did have a guy who was the official barber, but he didn't do as good a job as the people who were barbers before they went to jail and now just make a little bit of money on the side. And those barbers who are more short term are actually able to do like sick braid ups and shit like that for you. But again, you have to pay for everything, and sometimes it just comes down to like a dessert or a couple cans of pop or some toothpaste. Last but not least, there's the medical aspect of it, because if you do get sick, there's not a lot of stuff that healthcare is going to do for you. They're going to give you an aspirin and they're going to tell you to go away. Healthcare in jail is primarily for people who are coming off substance abuse problems. They don't really care if you like twisted your ankle or scraped your knee playing baseball or anything like that. They're really there to like prescribe Suboxone and methadone and all the other stuff like that. There are cough medicines that are for sale on Canteen. You can get your Buckleys, you can get shit like that, but it's pretty expensive, and during cold and flu season it sells out really quickly because everybody wants it. That's why I would tell you to use the old Russian trick of cutting up a bunch of onions, putting them in a container, putting a layer of honey on top, and then letting that sit for about 12 hours or overnight. And what you're left with is all of the healthy effects of the onion mixed in with like a sweet vehicle. So, in conclusion, going to jail does not mean you need to become a huge round mound. Not that people don't do that. I know a lot of people who went to jail fairly skinny, and then by virtue of just like eating everything and then taking drugs, they bulk up in the worst way possible. You have to remember, like, drugs are still available, and I'm not just talking about like stuff that gives you the munchies, right? If you start taking someone else's methadone or Suboxone, you might end up being couch locked all day. And if you're in minimum security where there is a lot of snacks, you might just end up eating chocolate bars, watching Rick and Morty on TV all day. Don't be that guy. Take care of your health, because at the end of the day, it's all we have left. And in a place where everybody is more or less the same because we're all in jail, health is wealth. So, I hope you guys enjoy that. Slava P, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and let me know what you want to see more of. Bye.